Good morning, Year 6. Happy Wednesday. It's Mrs. Holmes here back for your Wednesday lesson. So, yes, I look a bit different because I'm wearing my glasses. I've had glasses for years, but I just need to start wearing them a little bit more. So, if I'm not wearing them, you need to say, Miss, you need to get your glasses on because they just help my eyes. And actually, I think they look pretty nice. So, now that that's in the open and over and done with, let's crack on with your Thursday lesson. Now, today's lesson is all going to be based on chapter 10. And if you have been on my YouTube channel, you will have seen that we had a very special guest. So, I'm going to open up now my PowerPoint for today. Okay, and look, there he is. Ah, doesn't he look fantastic? I love the background, he's in the reading corner, and I think Jonathan really got into it, and I think he did an absolutely brilliant job. So, I don't want all that effort to go to waste. So, if you have time, please can you go to YouTube and watch Jonathan reading chapter 10 so beautifully with such lovely expression and lots, and he was really wanting to read it so well for all of you. So what I'd like you to do is go and watch the video, and then what I'd like you to do is to give Jonathan 2 stars and a wish. So really think about how he is reading and how it makes you feel. You know, is he engaging? Is it interesting? Is he using expression? How fluent is his reading? You know, so those are things that you could really pick up on that he's done incredibly well. Then I also want you to give a little wish for Jonathan. So, something that Jonathan can do to improve his reading skills a little bit more in the future, something that he can think about when he's reading next time. So, that will take you to the next page where you have 2 stars and a wish. So, you can write your first star here, your second star here, and your wish here. And I'm sure that Jonathan will absolutely really appreciate all your feedback. And we do things like this in the classroom all the time. Okay. So going back to that now, I do have another star guest reading chapter 11. And because the children in school have really wanted to do this, I'm going to open it up to all of you as well. So if you would like to be one of my star guests reading a chapter from Boy in the Striped Pajamas, please can you get in touch and let me know, and we will try and organize that. Even if you are at home, if you can maybe record a chapter. And yeah, you can do my work for me and give me a bit of a break. But if they're on YouTube, they have to be really good. So that's my warning to you. Okay, moving on. Okay, so what we're going to focus on in chapter 10 is the vocabulary. Now, I've given you lots of vocabulary activities before, but I always want to try and change them so they're slightly different, just so that you don't get bored, basically, and that they're always a little bit more interesting for you. So I've tried to jazz this one up for you today. Okay, we're going to focus on 3 words from chapter 10. Okay. The first word we are going to focus on in today's lesson is the word despair. Despair. So I'm going to say the word and then you are going to repeat it. Okay? Despair. 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 Lovely. Really good sounding out there. So I wonder if you can remember where we came across the word despair. And what we always say is when we're looking at vocabulary, we need to see it in context so that we know and we can find out a little bit more about that word means, especially if it's a word that you're really unfamiliar with. Okay, so we're going to now look at the section in chapter 10 where we see that word. Okay. So I'm going to read it and you can follow along with me and see if you can spot where that word is. During all this time, he never saw anyone anywhere close to the fence, nor did he find any doors to let him inside. And he started to despair that his exploration was going to be entirely unsuccessful. Did you spot it? I wonder, can you put your mouse under it or can you put your finger next to it? That's right. If you can see my mouse, it is here. Despair. Okay, so let's look at that word a little bit more closely and let's see if we can figure out the meaning of that word in its context. So it says that he started to despair that his exploration was going to be entirely unsuccessful. So we know that Bruno loves to explore, and we know that in this section of the story that he is beginning his exploration. But then it says he starts to despair because it might be unsuccessful. So that tells me that he's starting to feel a little bit anxious maybe, or that he isn't sure if it's going to work out. It sounds like a negative word. Do you agree? I'm not doing a very good job at describing it, am I? So where can I look to find out the exact definition of a word? You're right. Let's go and look at a dictionary. And here's one I made earlier. Okay, so the definition of the word despair is to lose, to give up, or be without hope. And I think that's a really good definition to describe our word because Bruno does begin to give up and he does begin to be without hope. So those are some really good examples to show us what that word despair means. Okay, let's move on to your second word. So your second word today in chapter 11 is forlorn. So I'm going to say the word and you're going to repeat it after me. Are you ready? Forlorn, forlorn, forlorn. Really good sounding out at year 6. Well done. Forlorn might be a word that you are a little bit unfamiliar with. So how can I figure out what that word actually means? Well, I know that in my reading lessons, Mrs. Holmes always tells me to look at the word in context because that is going to be a huge help. So let's see what the word means in the context of the story. So here we have the sentence. Let's see if you can spot the word. The boy was smaller than Bruno and was sitting on the ground with a forlorn expression. Did you spot the word? Well done. That's where it is. It says that he was sitting on the ground with a forlorn expression. Now, even though I have taken the sentence that the word forlorn is found in, I'm not sure that sentence is quite enough to tell me about that word. So I'm going to go to my book right over here, and I'm actually going to look and read a little bit more. So, the boy was smaller than Bruno and was sitting on the ground with a forlorn expression. He wore the same striped pajamas that all the other people on that side of the fence wore and a striped cloth cap on his head. Still doesn't really tell me what kind of expression that he had, so I'm going to read on. He wasn't wearing any shoes or socks and his feet were rather dirty. On his arm, he wore an armband with a star on it. I think that is beginning to tell me a little bit more about what his expression might be. If he is a boy wearing striped pajamas and his feet are dirty and he's not wearing any socks and shoes, I don't think that sounds like he's going to have a very happy expression. I think it sounds as though he would have quite a sad expression. And also, if I go back to the actual original sentence, it does say the boy was smaller than Bruno. So whilst he may have been smaller than Bruno physically, he also may have had a smaller personality and a smaller sense of being in the world. So that is, very deep. Um, but maybe that is what the author was trying to get across in his writing. So I think that again, the word forlorn, just like despair, has a quite of a negative sounding word. It doesn't sound to me that it's a very happy expression. So, where can I go and look for the definition of a word? That's right. I'm going to look at my online dictionary, which I have copied for you here. Let's see. Okay. It says desolate or dreary, unhappy or miserable, as in feeling, condition, or appearance. It can also mean lonely and sad, forsaken. And now that makes a lot of sense to me as to how Schmall was feeling. And definitely, I think that is a really good word to describe his expression. I wonder, could you try and make your best forlorn expression? What do you think that might look like? When have you ever felt forlorn before? Okay, let's have a look at our third word in chapter 10. Here we have it. The word is resolution, and you're going to say it after me. Resolution, resolution, resolution. Well done. Very good sounding out year 6. Now, resolution probably is a word that is quite familiar to you because we use that word when we're writing stories. We always have an opening and a build up, a problem, a resolution, and an ending. So if you remember that word resolution from writing stories, I know and we know that a resolution usually solves the problem. So that's a word that I probably am a little bit more familiar with. But let's look at it in context of the story because that is also so important. Okay, here is the context. He wished, and this is Bruno, he wished they could get off the subject as he was starting to think he was entirely wrong and made a private resolution to pay more attention in future in geography class. Now, that resolution does a little bit sound like solving a problem, but I think it sounds more like a New Year's resolution, which is a slightly different meaning. It's the same word, but it has different meaning. So he's saying that he is a little bit confused as to, is it Poland that they're in? Is it Berlin? He's not really sure where he is. And he made a resolution to pay more attention in future in geography class. So that's more like a New Year's resolution. Let's look and see the definition. So my definition says a solution or end to an argument or other conflict. Now for me, that is the wrong definition because I've obviously selected the wrong one. So for me, it's more of a New Year's resolution. Can you see how simple it is to get things muddled up? Because what I did was I didn't look at the context. I saw the word resolution and I picked the first definition. How many times have you maybe done that as well? I wonder. So I'm going to let you into a secret. I've actually done that on purpose, just to show you how easy it is to make a big mistake. But we learn from our mistakes all the time. Okay, we have now looked at our 3 words that we are studying in chapter 10. So what I'm now going to do for you as a little treat and a little bit of thinking work is I'm going to show you a clip from the movie. And this clip is when Bruno meets Schmall for the first time. You will notice from the video clip that it is quite different to the book. There's definitely not as much detail, but we can see little bits, especially the bits of vocabulary that we've talked about today. For example, I think you can tell the despair on Bruno's face when he hasn't seen anybody yet beyond the fence. And he is walking and exploring for quite a long time before he meets Schmoll. So that's the start of the clip. When we do see Schmoll for the first time, I think you'll agree that he does look very forlorn. So have a look at Schmoll's facial expression and see maybe if it was similar to your expression that you practiced earlier. Resolution. So they don't actually talk very much about the geography side of things. So I wonder how you think that conversation may have went if you can picture those two characters. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now and I'm going to take you to the clip. I'm just going to make sure that my sound is being shared. Okay, that is sharing now, and I'm going to now move to the boy in the striped pajamas. Here we go, here we go. Okay, so it is about 3 minutes long, so it's not long at all. So sit back and enjoy. Definitely looking a bit forlorn there, isn't he?
Hello. I'm exploring. What are you doing?
We're building a new hut.
Have you got lots of friends over there?
A few, but we fight a lot. That's why I like being out here. I can be on my own.
I'm Bruno.
Schmoll.
Sorry?
I'm Schmoll.
That's your name. Never heard of anyone called that before.
I've never heard of anyone called Bruno.
But Schmoll. No one's called Schmoll. I live in the house. Back there.
Have you got any food on you?
No. Are you hungry? How old are you?
8.
Me too. It's not fair. Me being stuck over here on my own, or you're over there, playing with friends all day.
Playing?
Well, that number. Isn't it part of a game or something?
It's just my number. Everyone gets given a different number.
Oh, right. Then what happens?
I have to go back now.
Really? It was nice to meet you, Schmoll.
And you, Bruno.
Okay, so that was a clip from a movie where Bruno meets Schmoll for the first time. So as you can see, the book contains so much more detail than the actual movie itself. I know that lots of you have watched the movie, but it's okay. But what I'd really like you to do is persevere with the book and still continue to read each chapter because, like I said, it contains a lot more information that we don't get from that film. Okay, back to my little PowerPoint. Okay, so now we have looked at these 3 words, We have looked at them in context and we've looked at their definitions. And we've also seen them sort of in practice in the film as well. So this brings me on to your task for today. I'm so sorry, there's light shining in my face. So I'm going to bring you on to the next slide. And hopefully you can still see me. Okay, so what I've done here is I have deleted the context out of each vocabulary word, but I have left in the definitions, okay? I do need to change that definition to the right one that I want you to use. So I want you to write your own sentences using these words. So you might think of your own sentences to do with your own experiences, or you may even use these words in the context of the boy in the striped pajamas. But I just don't want you using the same words from the book. I want you to think of your own sentence and put it into your own context. So that is all I would like you to do for today's lesson. Oh, that shouldn't have done that. So you are going to look at those 3 words that we studied today. You're going to look at their definitions, and then you are going to write your own sentences which include those words. Apart from that, I really want you to catch up if you have missed any chapters. Chapter 11 should be on today, so please go on and read up to the end of chapter 11, and that's it for me. So I'm so sorry about that light. So have a really lovely Wednesday, and I will see you again for another recorded video very soon. Okay,